Well, we want to welcome to today's interview on the Photo Bug. We got Cheyenne Glade Wilson coming all the way from South Dakota.
Yay.
Hey, how are you doing, Cheyenne?
I'm great. How are you guys today?
We're doing great, and we're really glad to have you on. And sorry we couldn't get you on before the Black Hills virtual shootout, but now we get to talk about what would happen. So why don't you go ahead first off and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, you bet. And the nice thing is we're kind of in the interim of it. So we got the first classes out of the way, and now we'll be kind of getting everything rounded up for that shootout. But yes, I basically have been capturing images, I call it, taking pictures, delving into photography for 30 years. But not really getting serious about it until probably the last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. When I was young, and I say young, I'm 47 years old, so I'm a mom and a wife, and we are fifth generation cattle ranchers. So the one thing about photography for me is that it's really about capturing my lifestyle to share with the world. And we all know that social media has made such a splash, so to speak, these last 10 to 15 years, that it's really added a visual effect to how we can really share what we do out in the world. And being a cattle rancher, a lot of people these days are so far removed from agriculture that it's really helpful to be able to share beautiful images with people to really paint a picture that maybe sometimes words don't do. And the funny thing with words is I'm also a writer on the side, and I have a long-standing blog. Well, I think it's long. So I've been doing it for 6 years and then using my own images to pretty much, like I said, kind of paint the picture of my West, so to speak.
And Shay, we want to put that link on here, so we're going to put your web link and urge everybody to go out and check out your images and your blog. So, and you have some images that you sent, so why don't we go ahead and share some of those with our viewers as well, and let you talk a little bit about, I'm going to go ahead and bring up one here. All right, first one I've got, and you're lucky that you have such a beautiful location that you can photograph. So why don't you talk about the first one I've got up here is, looks like out in the field with the cattle and a cowboy on a horse.
Oh, sure. So I was born and raised in Montana, and we currently, for the last 15 years, have ranched here on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. We actually own property in Montana, and that's actually my husband riding, and that's on the place that he was born and raised on in Montana. So the awesome thing about life as it is in the ranching industry, a lot of it is handed down from generation to generation. So we are fifth generation raising the sixth. And we prefer to do things kind of the old way. We love to ride horses, and, the whole beauty of what we do can be seen in an image such as that. The grass doesn't get much greener than that. We raised that horse. My husband has been riding since before he could walk, pretty much like me. And we say that, and people kind of look at us and laugh. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty serious. That's really where. But that was taken near the Beartooth Mountains in Montana. And that's really where our property is up there. We raise draft cross horses. So if you're not familiar with what that is a Percheron cross on a quarter horse mare. And they give a little bit more size, but I love to ride them because I can carry my camera and not worry so much about having a wreck or a buck-off incident with expensive camera equipment. So that's basically what that picture is, and it really resembles our day-to-day life.
Well, I love the skies there, too. And I was out in the Beartooth Mountain area 2 years ago. So,
yeah, it's beautiful there.
Or 3 years ago, I guess it was. And the next one, here's a beautiful shot. I love the cumulus cloud building up there in the background.
With the lone bovine.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, so that one was taken in South Dakota down here. I mentioned the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And if you do check out my blog, it's called thenativecowgirl.com. And that is me. I am a cowgirl. I was born and raised in and out of the arena and have competed for years. But that is basically on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation where we ranch down here. And so, yes, I'm an enrolled member of the Ogallala Lakota Sioux tribe. And that's, what's really neat is being able to share an image like that. And I ride around around with my camera and I just look for things that speak to the heart and soul, and that's what a picture like that does for me.
That's
very
beautiful
good.
shot. I
Yeah.
love that.
Thank you. And South Dakota Magazine actually got a hold of me and wanted to use that photo.
Oh, did
so
they?
yeah,
Oh,
it's really
terrific.
fun. And I was telling in my classes how when I'm taking pictures, I think to myself, is this going to be horizontal or do I need to get a few vertical? You know, because magazine covers and photos, they love to
the
use
vertical. Yep.
Yeah, versus horizontal. So, yeah.
Oh, they have to crop it.
Exactly.
Which they don't like to do.
No,
And-
and the cloud coverage like that, it's hard to crop because you kind of lose
that's
some
true,
of the
yes.
wow factor.
Yeah, they have to do like one of the ones that I think Charles Brolin had. They actually wrapped it around with the whole.
Yep, exactly.
And the next one we got's a Colt there.
Yes, so that's one of our draft cross colts, and I just love taking pictures of horses, really, and cattle too. But horses, there's something, they represent freedom to me, and whether that be my Native American roots or the cowboy spirit inside me, whatever it is, I have loved horses forever, and I take a lot of pictures of them. And it's surprising to me because there's a lot of horse lovers in the world, and I have people that I talk to, I mean, way across the ocean about horses, and we share pictures back and forth. And I think it's just an international language when you find something you're passionate about, and then to be able to share images. It kind of, we might not even speak the same language. In fact, a lot of times we don't. And thank goodness for Google Translator, but it's awfully fun to make connections that way too.
There's something funny. I didn't notice this in the first time, but it looks like that horse is growing a beard. He's got the way the backlight hitting.
Yeah, the thing about the draft crosses is they have a lot more hair in places. You'll hear the expression feathered feet. So if you ever watch the like Budweiser Clydesdales, they have hair around their feet, and when they walk, we have a gypsy Vanner stallion also, and when he walks, I mean, their manes can go down to their knees. So if you imagine a horse like that, and then their hair is just, so the whiskers, that's a filly. So that filly has good whiskers.
Filly with whiskers.
Yep.
And the next we got some beautiful, beautiful sunset with a horse
With a lone
silhouetted.
horse, yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I tell everybody I'm a lover of the light, and you will see that come across in a lot of my writing. I'm very much into positivity, inspiration, mindset, all of that. But the light, meaning I don't miss many sunrises and sunsets. I'm just aware of them. I always have been, even as a small child. And there's no two that are ever alike. So that's the fun part. And especially when you're capturing images, you can think of things like, I see a lot of people nowadays too putting cattle in front of the sunset, or maybe it's a fancy car, that you love and you want to put it in front of there. But I love using horses, and I've got just lots of different images because really, I mean, God paints a beautiful picture, and you can't find a better backdrop than that, in my opinion.
How about a photo tip for those viewers? Because I know people love silhouettes. What's your process in getting a good silhouette?
I really look at the overall picture, and I think of it in my mind, how it's going to look. But I've done a lot of trial and error. So that's the number one thing. And the wonderful thing about it is that I started out, and I'm sure you guys did too, when we had to process our film to see what we got.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, right? And
Yep.
I remember learning that, and the smells of the chemicals and all that. I'll never forget it. And I'm glad that
I still
No,
go into some kind of a spasm when I smell fixer, or vinegar. Even vinegar does it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget those fumes ever.
Oh,
but,
no, me neither. I had a camera store for 5 years, and we had a dark room. That's how I met this guy.
Okay, well, see, it's cool. But doing that, you had to be really careful about what you're doing because film was expensive, and you couldn't just take a million pictures and then, one turned out.
36, then you change the roll, unless you were using a 20 or 12 exposure roll.
Exactly. So what I say now is it's digital. I mean, you've got your cameras, you've got cards, you can take thousands of pictures. And the way I look at it is I'll take 1,000 pictures, and out of those 1,000 pictures, I'll maybe get 10 that are like, wow, you know? And it's okay. You don't have to be afraid. Just take the pictures. But I've learned to really watch the sunspots in your photos, and you'll see them reflecting a lot now. Like, it'll be like a little orange orb. And it's so funny because some people say, oh, that's a spirit, and whatever your beliefs, that's cool and all. I'm like, no, that's because of the way the sun was sitting and it's in your film, or in your camera. But I just say do it and get out there, because, you don't just capture images by thinking about it. You have to put yourself out in the situation. You have to be willing to get up early. And when I say sunrise, that doesn't mean you walk out the minute the sun is coming up and take the photo. You have to be there, at least a half an hour before, already have it kind of planned out in your mind. Get your, like for me, my horses, I'm like, well, I don't make them go anywhere. And that's the fun thing about my pictures like that. That just happened.
Yep.
So that was not a planned thing. I didn't, have my husband over there hoorahing him in that direction. That is not how I do my photography. It is all totally natural Western lifestyle ranch photography. But I just think, don't be afraid to fail. And the erase button is there for a reason.
Yep.
You can get rid of those images and nobody will see them until you decide to show them to somebody else.
Yeah, and we've always said, arrive early, stay late, and be patient. So it's great advice, Cheyenne. Next picture, again, this is one, and I just love the western skies. This is, you've got the horses in the foreground, this beautiful, beautiful clouds.
Yep, and I'm sure I sent you a few, so I'm not sure which one. I have lots of pictures like that in my mind, but I believe that
looks like a little snow on the ground.
Frost or snow on the ground, possibly.
Okay. Yep, that's in South Dakota. No, I'm sorry, that's in Montana. It's hard for me because both are beautiful places, but again, that was just an image that I was out there, and I was, I go out with my mind of taking photos. That's what I'm going for, and I don't know if your guys' does this, but I have an iPhone. And I use Apple products. And so whenever I put my camera card in my laptop to upload photos, a lot of them could go to my phone. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is so that I can use the images on social media, which, as you guys probably know and your listeners know, a lot of times, for instance, Instagram will crop them to a square image.
Right.
So I'm always doing stuff like that. But I went in to get a new phone not long ago, and the guy at the counter looked at my phone and he goes, I have never seen anyone with 115,000 photos on their phone. I'm like,
that probably is a new record.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. And he kind of looked at me like, I was like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I do. And
you're going to definitely need a phone with more memory.
Oh, yeah. I get the biggest memory phone I can get. That's a great way to do it, because then it's mobile and you can do anything you want with those images. And, just like that, I go out with it in mind. I always have some sort of a camera, or I've even been known to use my iPhone once in a while out on horseback. If it's 30 below zero and I have to go do something outside, I'm not going to take my, $8,000 camera setup or whatnot with me. I'm going to be a little safer with it. So will those be magazine quality photos? No, I use my, my best setup for that. But a lot of times you'll find images that are on the fly and you got to get them, Yeah,
another tip that along the same lines, if you don't have your camera with you, chances are you do have your phone. Use your phone.
Yep.
They're taking better and better pictures all the time.
It's astonishing to me.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes I wish I was younger, in the days, and then I'm like,
I know, I do.
Thank God I lived my life before social media.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mixed blessing, isn't it?
It is. The young part where I was really not so smart but thought I was,
Yeah, right. And the final image we got here is one cold cow there in black and white.
Definitely a great black and white. A little snow.
Yeah.
Where it's been browsing for grasses and stuff. So cool. Well, we're both big lovers of black and white. I mean, that's when he talks about his store. That was one of his specialties, and he had a black and white darkroom. Which, to get to use it, my job was I had to go in and clean it up every day.
There was actually a color darkroom, but we basically only did black and white. We used to, remember Cibachrome?
Yes, yeah.
We used to do a lot of Cibachrome
cool.
colors, a lot of slides.
But I thought I was in heaven, because he would say, you can use it for as long as you want if you go in and clean it up. So I'd spend an hour cleaning it up, getting it all ready, making sure all the stuff was mixed up and ready to go, and all the fixture and whatnot. And then I would go in and do my proof sheets and then pick the ones that I wanted from that. So I thought I was in heaven. I thought I was getting the better part of the deal. He was probably laughing over in another part of the store going, I got that poor sucker to clean my darkroom every day.
Tom Sawyer, I got him whitewashing the fence there.
Oh, that's great. Well, that means a lot for you to say that. I'll be honest. I admire black and white photography. I just do. I myself have a lot of work to do in that department. And I think that it's important to kind of know where your strengths and I don't want to call them weaknesses, but opportunity for growth are. And the reason for me is that I love color so much. Obviously, you can see in the pictures that I share. However, there is so much emotion and things that are expressed in a black and white that you can't get with color.
Right.
So I've really been trying to stretch my boundaries in that regard. So that's fun. And yeah, that was a picture. We were out feeding our cows. Yeah, I think that day was like literally 20 below zero, and it's just fun. I've got a bunch of cow images, and they're running, and the snow is flying, and the steam is rolling out, and gosh, it's amazing to be able to see.
Yeah, those are pictures we can't get here in Florida. But
right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful black and white image. I really,
it is
really like
nice.
that.
So, you know what? If you stepped outside your comfort zone a little bit on that, you did all right. So,
yes,
thank you.
And black and white does
no worries on that.
Black and white does require a different approach. It really emphasizes shape and texture, more so than color. So, well, good. Also, we want to talk a little bit about your workshops. You've got one more this evening. Of course, when this podcast comes out this weekend, that's going to be the past. So what do you talk a moment about the workshops that you gave this year and are about to give? Absolutely.
So the first one I did was on ranch and horse, lifestyle, or horses and ranch lifestyle, I should say. So the majority of that presentation that I did was mostly horses, because for me, ranch, and I did some cattle pictures in there as well. In fact, I think that snowy cow was in there. Just being able to kind of showcase, like, if someone were to go out and take pictures of horses, how, would they do that? And for instance, you guys live in Florida. How would someone, such as someone living, say, in Miami, go try to find horses somewhere to take photos of? And like I said, you don't get better at photography by thinking, you got to go do. So there's a lot of different ways that people can get, around animals that they're not accustomed to. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of ranching in Florida. And one of the big cattle ranches in the world is there. So,
they were second to Texas.
Yeah, run a lot of Angus cattle and quite a bit of horses.
We got the Florida Cracker Cowboys with the whips.
Yeah.
Right, and the Longhorns.
The Longhorn,
right. Exactly. So, and I know the people who run that, so it's really fun. And I said, it's who you know, because you might live somewhere where you're like, oh, I don't have any opportunity. But if you get to talking with people and make connections, you never know where you might find some connections in there and new places to go. But then the last one I'm doing tonight is Western ranch landscapes. So I love doing landscapes, but the funny thing I'm going to tell Jay tonight when I do that is sometimes there's a horse or a cow. And I know that technically landscape is void of a lot of those kinds of things. That's my mode. That's how I do it, because, for instance, I like to take a lot of photography for, say, a ranch or like our place, or maybe I'm doing it for real estate, real estate listing. It looks more, I guess, ranchland to me is about production, and it's about what lives there. So once in a while, I'll throw a couple of those in there, but I'm excited about them, and we've had some really great interaction. I had some questions the first night about workshops that I'm going to start offering in 2021. So it's been a long time dream of mine to do that, and I'm excited.
Oh, great. That's fantastic. Will those be posted on your blog, your website?
Yep, I'm going to be blogging about those, and it'll be more so not just photography. This is kind of going to be a package deal where we talk about, growing your social media, getting your images out there. Like, how do you get published? How do you get them in magazines and things like that? Also, mindset and personal growth, because those things don't happen on their own either. You have to have the confidence to step out, be willing to share your images, be willing to take a little criticism or have someone go, whatever, because indifference is a big thing in the photography world because of all the different types there are, and then all the editing of things and whatnot. And so it's important, I think, to just help people grow, and it'll be amazing. I can't wait. And there'll be different types of them, but I'm thinking about doing one a month for probably 4 months. So there'll be 4 different ones next year is my thought process right now.
Good. Well, we're going to put your website up here again. Again, encourage people to go out there, check it out. And I really appreciate you taking your time this morning. I know you're busy out there. I know you're getting ready for your last virtual workshop. So do you have any final words you would like to give to our listeners, viewers?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you guys, first of all, for having me today. This was really a lot of fun. The one thing I will tell everyone listening is to not be afraid to connect with other people. You know, social media makes it so easy to find people of the same, genre, thinking, photography, whatever it is you're looking for. I use Instagram a lot. And for one, you can actually search the hashtag photography and you can find some amazing images out there. You can even scale it down and get a little bit, more pointed on what you're looking for. So equine photography or sunset photography. And there's going to be a ton of images out there that maybe aren't what you're looking for, but they may connect you with someone that is near you or someone that you could, kind of mentor off of or that you could just connect with. So I follow a lot of people on social media in the photography world. Of course, there's learning all about different types of photography. That's a big thing. I always figure if you want to be good at something, you have to educate yourself and you have to be open to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes and move forward. And there's no such thing as failure in this world unless you up and just quit. That's failure, And so I don't think at this rate, anybody is, if you're just looking for new ideas and wanting to grow. And on Instagram, I'm the Native Cowgirl. So across all of my social media platforms, you can find me there. But I just think getting into it and following what you're passionate about is a really good way to grow yourself too.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And I want to finish up with one more thing because hopefully next year we're going to be out there and get with you in person. And maybe we can actually feature you and the ranch on Photobug Podcast. So if you're up for that.
Heck yeah, I'm up for anything.
She's always saying, oh no,
There you go.
oh no, what did I get myself into?
I never say no. That's another piece of advice. Never say no if you're handed an opportunity. Say yes and figure it out on the way. That's usually the best course. So
Sounds good. Well, I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, thank you both. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Good.